This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/filmriot and use the code FilmRiot to get 68% off of a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month free.
No. I knew it.
Want to have a staring contest?
Sure, if you want to lose. Ready, go. Okay, Emily, you win. I'm blinking. Emily, I'm blinking. I'm blinking, Emily, stop.
Monsters, demons, ghosts, aliens, we love creatures of all kinds in our horror movies. It's some of the most fun stuff to not only watch, but to make. Having that off-putting face, that startling smash cut to an inhuman thing, it's so effective and can be such a great part of that ride that we all want to go on when we flip on a horror film or show one of our own to our audience. But most of us are not makeup artists or have a budget for great masks or prosthetics, which got me thinking about an incredibly simple technique to add some creature to your feature.
Oh.
It's good.
Hated that.
It's good. Like creature feature. Add some creature to your feature.
Yeah, could you say that, but like not bad? Like a good way to say it. Not a bad way to say it.
We've shown plenty of options for ghosts or creatures in the past, from the comical to the more serious, things using an actor on a green screen and a ton of effects to a cheap mask from Party City and the puppet tool in After Effects like we did for this King Crow sketch. The mask looks pretty good on its own, but with darker lighting, a spray bottle to keep the mask feeling slimy and organic, then a simple eye glow and blinking effect in post, and it worked surprisingly well in the end. Of course, if you do have the budget for it, you could get some incredible masks like the one we used for Chainsaw. There are so many unbelievable options, but you are definitely paying for that quality. So there are a ton of options to getting all kinds of looks for your creature in your film, but today I wanted to go as simple as possible and do something that could be done quickly without a ton of experience needed and still be effective. So we're gonna go for this unsettling, inhuman sort of look. And for that, we're gonna need photo editing and compositing software. Of course, we're using Adobe products because that's our workflow, but any software that's any good at all are gonna have similar functions. It's just a difference between where the buttons are. The technique is really all that matters. And the general idea here comes from some really terrible effects that we did in the early days of Film Riot. And more recently, and actually done well, by David Sandberg with his shorts like Lights Out or his most recent Not Alone in Here. David has put out really great making ofs for all of his shorts where he talks a little bit about how he did it, plus everything else that goes into his films. Really great DIY outside of the box ideas, so definitely check out the links below to watch more of that. But let's jump into our own simplified version. First, when I shot this, I opted to go handheld, knowing that in the end, we're gonna be tracking a still frame asset onto our footage. And it's a great way to infuse realism through an organic handheld feel. Of course, you don't have to go handheld. It does add a layer of difficulty, but it's what I chose to do, so off. Now, since I know how we're gonna be doing this effect in the end, I'm having Emily keep her face looking straight forward, no rotating, and I put 2 pieces of black tape for tracking. Originally, I just used her eyes to track, but any movement messes with the track, so just tossing this tape on helped out a lot. The idea I was going for is getting this silent, unnerving moment. The thing is just staring at her character, so we just hold that moment and we're good. In Premiere, I'm gonna get all my selects together and get the take that I want to use, then I'm gonna bounce a still frame to Photoshop. And this is where I do the majority of the work. You can do a lot of this right inside of After Effects, but I find it a whole lot easier to get a solid look with more precision by doing it this way.
Emily, stop.
So first I'm going to duplicate my image, that way I keep an untouched copy. Then I'm going to start by jumping right into the Liquify plugin. And this tool has gotten more and more amazing over the years. With this version, the Liquify does a great job of finding the facial features in the image, so you can just start dialing things in a direction. So off the bat, I'll make my eyes bigger and I'll move them apart. Then I'll raise the nose height and drop the width, tweak the mouth a bit, and I'll leave the face shape options alone for now. But with this as our base, we can take it a little further manually in here. We have our warp tool that will let us move things around a bit, including messing up the shape of her jaw here. And her hair behind the jaw is gonna be great for hiding the seams of that later, so I think this will work great. Maybe make one eye lower than the other, then I'll jump into the tool
Pucker
and
tool.
I'll...
With a P.
What'd I say?
Yeah, you said
No, I said pucker. Dude.
Wait.
But with this tool, we're gonna make the nose a bit smaller, and I think we'll stick with that. Now we're gonna click OK, and here's where we're at. And I'm gonna mess with the color of her face, but before we do, I'm gonna get rid of these tracking markers just by selecting them and then using Content Aware Fill, and they're gone, because magic. And while we're at it, I'll get rid of her eyebrows too using the same method. This one doesn't fully do the trick right away, so I'll use the cloning tool to clean up the remaining bits. Now I'm gonna mess with the color of her face, and there's plenty of ways that you could do this. I like doing it with an overlay. So you could use a texture or a color, then put that in a blending mode to react to her skin. But for this, I'm gonna duplicate her layer and then use the dodge tool to brighten up her face, then use a mask to clean up the edges so this isn't affecting her hair, which is giving us a nice pale, odd look. But now I'm gonna duplicate this layer and then put that into vivid light blending mode. This gives us a burnt looking feel, which goes too far, so I'm gonna dial it back with opacity, then mask out the center of her face so it's just on the edges. And finally, for her eyes, I'll make a blank layer, then color pick a dark area near her eyes, something a dark red like this, then I'll paint over both of her eyes. Next, I'll add a mask to that and clean up the edges, and then remove just the center area of the iris and pupils and set that to hard light. Keeping in mind that with masks, the black is what you are hiding and white is what you are allowing to stay visible. And now we have this. We aren't gonna go super far with it, just taking it to an odd, inhuman place like we said before. So now with our image done, we can move into our compositing software. But before we jump into After Effects, I do want to thank our sponsor, NordVPN, and we've talked about NordVPN plenty of times on the show, but I think it's more important now than ever, like I've been saying over and over. Just everything we do is online. It's the VPN that I personally have used for years because it's very affordable, and it can be even more so by going to nordvpn.com/filmriot to get 68% off of a 2-year plan, which makes your subscription just $3.71 per month. Now, normally the number one reason I love Nord is for the security, but this year we're all home more than ever. And the coolest thing is that once you turn it on, you can select from thousands of servers in 60 countries, which means it seems like you're in that country. And the reason that is awesome is for places like Netflix, since Netflix will give you a different experience and offer different content depending on the region you're in. So there are shows that I can't get in the US that are available elsewhere. And since it's the Halloween season, that means I'm watching horror movies. Of course, there are some great horror films on Netflix, but if I want more, I can pop over to the UK for films that I can't get on the US Netflix, like Conjuring, Insidious, Hereditary, and plus by switching countries, you get a totally different experience, different films, different recommendations, and that goes for places like Disney Plus too. So if you're getting bored with what you have available, flip the switch and you have a whole new selection. But again, it is that security too. Your ISP isn't able to see what you're doing, and because of that, honestly, I just always have it on. It's so fast that I can't tell the difference with it on or off. So protect yourself and your data. Go to nordvpn.com/filmriot and use the coupon code FilmRiot to get 68% off of a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month free.
Oh. Emily, stop.
Getting right back into it and inside of After Effects, our job is very simple. With our original footage in our comp, we're gonna throw in the image, make sure that our playhead is at the very beginning, then mask, feather, and position our face over the original. So as you can see here, all we're doing is making a digital mask that we then put on our actor. And to do that, we'll hide this mask layer, then create a null and track our original footage. We'll select track motion, then check position, rotation, and scale, and set the boxes over the tape and track forward. Then we apply that to our null, then unhide and pick whip the mask layer to our null, and we have this. Now, of course, this works because the actor's head isn't rotating or making big movements, so it's a technique that you are using in a specific way, but you could take this further and use this process for plenty of different looks, including letting the mouth move. For this, you would just make your digital mask in a way that only covers the upper areas of your actor's face, so the mouth is free to move. In that instance, you could add blood, drool, or fake teeth like David did, or you could leave the face in shadow with just enough detail to be super creepy, or even use the same idea for things that have nothing to do with horror, painting things out of your scene or dropping something in to fix it, which is the most normal use for this sort of idea. What I love most about it is how simple it is and how versatile it is. You really could go crazy with this, grab images of different textures or masks, even figures under the same light, and comp those in for all kinds of results, like you see David do in the latest making of. But again, the point is that this sort of process and general idea can take you in a lot of creative directions. Just think ahead, plan out what you want your end result to be, then do some tests, make corrections, and get your movie monster on screen. So try it out and send me what you come up with. Social links along with everything else are in the notes below. And since it's Halloween, we're giving you 30% off all of our horror assets on our store, including music, LUTs, and our slime pack. We have a new bundle there which encompasses it all as well. So jump over to triunedigital.com to check that out. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.